This is Chapter 5 on pivot tables and pivot charts. We are in hands-on exercise number 4, and this one will be real short. What we're going to do in this particular hands-on exercise is apply a pivot table style and create a pivot chart. Again, we're working with our PivotTable 2 pivot table worksheet down here. We've got our pivot table in % of grand total, and we've done everything that we've done in the first 3 hands-on exercises. We're going to go ahead and click on the design from the PivotTable tools, and we'll click on the More button, and we can look. We have a number of different styles that we can apply. We're going to do Pivot Table Style Medium 3. Go ahead and click on that. And it applies a dark red style to the pivot table. We are going to click on the banded columns checkbox so that each column has a band to it, and it applies a dark red vertical line there. Okay, so we've done a little bit on the styles. Let's talk about creating a pivot chart, and this is great. So from the pivot table chart, we're going to go ahead and hit, we'll try this again. We click on the pivot table and we go to Pivot Table Tools, Analyze, and we hit Pivot Chart. It looks very much like our Chapter 3 menu, and it says what type of chart would we like to create. We're going to go to Bar Chart, and we're going to hit OK. Alright, and it has created a pivot chart based on the pivot table that we see up above us. We'll go ahead and click on our pivot chart, and we have now pivot chart format tools, or pivot chart tools. One of the things that I'd like us to do is go ahead and move this chart to its own sheet, and we're going to call it Pivot Chart, and then hit OK. Okay, now we have our pivot chart in its own particular worksheet. We're going to go ahead and insert a chart title because we don't have that. If you remember back to Chapter 3, we have the chart elements, and we can do chart title, and we'll click OK. We'll put a checkbox in there, and we're going to type sales and royalties by discipline, and we'll hit enter. Okay. Alright, so all we've done now is we've taken the data that appears in Pivot Table 2 in this particular pivot table, and we've changed it into a chart. We can do all the same things about filtering and formatting that we could with charts. That's the end of Chapter 5 and the sociology file.